Attention gamers. I feel like every year there's always that one change to League of Legends that leaves logical people wondering what kind of hallucinogenics the devs at Riot were on when this was pitched, and this year that has to be Axiom Arc. I can't exactly put my sarcastic finger on what makes it seem so ridiculous, but lately I find myself locking in marksmen but identifying as an assassin so I can piss in their bathrooms and try on their runes, and most importantly build the totally obnoxious items that they've been given. But this actually changes everything for us. You see, Axiom passive is based off of total cooldown, so it's best built first when that cooldown is the highest, and considering it yields no crit, it makes trying to ride the 60% IA before E, except after I can't afford to get this item 4th instead of 3rd because 90% of my games end before that purchase, so I tell crit that it's now shit, and opt for something else, and let me tell you, it gets a little complicated. That's right, the most success that I and other ADCs who actually are good enough to listen to are finding success with builds that are made of 18 to 24 long swords while consisting of almost 0 items in the marksman category of the shops, because us ADCs are grown up being told that we are just useless jinxes. So today I will show you the power of the lengthy longsword everlasting victory magnet on Miss Fortune and Caitlyn to prove that we can actually be badass if we go over to the dark side. Now don't forget, there's a big 5 PC global giveaway going on with exclusively free to enter ways to win, so check the link in the description for details, and let's get into buying a lifetime supply of long swords. Okay, game 1 starts. I'm playing Santa's naughty little helper MF, and my support is playing stupid as it takes her all of 4 seconds to get pulled and chunked down to like 20% health, costing me my heal just to keep the hopeless wild animal alive, only for her to thank me by immediately running back into danger as Swain channels his inner Trump.
Grab him by the pussy.
So yay for me, I'm tied to the human equivalent of gas station sushi this game. But thankfully when I called 1-800-RENT a jungle gank and said, hey, we have an IQ deficiency down here, I'm gonna need one of your girls, they said say no more, Flanky Francine is en route and she will bring the bladed hula hoop, so I make the sky shit. Lux delivers a cue to the wrong address, and then I do my best Baywatch impersonation as Kiki does the nay nay on Lucian's dead ball sack. But don't celebrate yet, cause Cosmic Bowling Bambi rolls a manslaughter strike and I manage to flash into more damage, and by the grace of God Lux lands her first Q ever, which means the dumb doe is now dead, leaving just that Edgar Allan Poe, but he was oomed, which meant he was doomed, and Ravi Boy tell him just earn himself a double. Then just when I thought my support had set the bar so low it was practically a tripping hazard in hell, there Swain comes in dancing limbo with the devil, so yeah, that dumbass is dead, and all of a sudden I'm liking my support more and more, so the relationship turns a bit physical, which makes Obama bust a bullet nut in our direction until I say anything you can do I can do better, so back to base he goes. At this point I have obtained the sacred arc of Axiom, and since my jungler is coming down I decide to hike my skirt up a few inches and bait these boys into a bad decision as I purposely zoom in on my ult cooldown to illustrate that I got a kill without you seeing that I overcommitted and died due to an almost AFK looking performance in the process. But this came in handy because a few seconds later when Swain was like, I'll show you mine if you show me yours, things escalated pretty quickly, and let's just say it resulted in an orphaned Obama who just wanted to make a trade so bad but seemingly ran out of bullets or the ability to use them, so it's a happy ending for the hula girl on our end. The bullying continues until I notice that I'm more pushed up than my busty milk faucets in this elf outfit, so even though you know I don't like to do this, I have to separate from my baby that I hold so close. Only for those monsters to immediately kill off my baby, setting a brutal precedent for dumb mothers like myself who have separation anxiety with their wards, knowing they are just dropping them off at their own murder site, so I get a bit vengeful and show them what happens when you mess with mama's wards. Oh, and if you think I was gonna let grandpa get away with it just because he stuck his arm in a garbage disposal when he was a kid, you're crazy. I noticed that Aurelia is just genociding my entire team, which I think is what the tooltip reads for her passive or something, but luckily Lux checks her bucket list item off, which red trap a busted champion inside a fire funnel, and everyone moment of silence for my support who died in service of bringing me that 600 shutty. And turns out my jungler was fin to push people into walls and shit, so I came up for the combo only for that deer to go full blown Usain Bolt Bambi out of there, so I had to settle for the consolation prize of giving Gramps the killer cramps once again. It's worth noting that knapsack smacking forest fucker ended up disrespecting the power of a 13-stack Dark Harvest proc, and then Obama showed how he has as many brain cells as he has pistols with an unsurprisingly failed attempt to shut down the operation I had going on. Then we set up in the bush for a quick game of surprise you a dead bitch the Bambi, and even crown of the shattered queef isn't enough to keep her alive as I then get in position to backdoor baby Dumbledore. And I'm not sure who this tower reports to, but someone needs to give this one a raise. Attacking me from behind the mountain 8 zip codes away before I find myself mispositioned as a squishy misfortune, but I'm fed, which means Lucian is missing enough health to remain in my presence. And as a plot twist that I'm sure only a handful of you were expecting, I informed the enemy team that I took laxatives before the game, which was both a strategy to get them to not forfeit but also actually a true statement, as longtime followers of my channel know I have the intestinal fortitude of a busted flip-flop. So this was filmed the night before a colonoscopy and Daddy Rav still needed content, so sure enough I could rely on the complete absence of empathy and lead players, which in this case was exactly what I wanted, because I just needed to hear Rift Alexa say more nice things about me.
Legendary.
And if you thought I was going to let this micro wizard just walk it out like this was a 2006 rap video, then you're crazy, but little did I know that Golden Nugget was plotting pure evil.
I will swallow your soul!
So at this point I'm freaking 16 and 211 long swords purchased to date, tied for highest level in the game, thinking I can go where I please straight Mundo style, but I seem to have forgotten the part of this game that makes less sense than 2 pennies and a nickel. When if Aurelia was the one who was 16 and 2 she would be coming through my computer, and 1 being my entire fucking county IRL, but I wrote it off as a bad misplay. Only for my next run in to start out much better until she goes guess who has 2 thumbs, a bunch of levitating back blades, and gains health when a giga-fed ADC attacks her. This guy, and you can bet your ass off I'm walking out of that 1v3 alive and rich. That said, my team did end up finding the recipe to kill a full damage Aurelia, and it only took 3 full ults and a group of pissed off chickens. Then I am back in action, recovered from my last encounter with that quote-unquote balanced champion, when the Scottish shitter is caught loitering on our property, so my sky bullets slow her, she gets tied up to eat a cannonball, and oh boy do we have a fawn fatality to clean up after that one. They have a team building tower tipping event, which is cute and all, but it ends up getting 3 of them shoved straight into a wall as I tread with death itself to get the 1 kill I needed for an ult refresh, and then I back up, turn around, and with 36 waves of fiery chaos I say, Ligma, bitches. Somehow the geriatric raven breeder is still partying after all of that, so I wait for him to dab before asking Rift Alexa what the 1 card that beats a king is.
Aced.
The raid boss on their team is somehow dead, which means I'm free to run around more blind than a decorative window covering, because who's going to stop me? This Lucian? What about this Lilia? And if you think the Grab Yo Gooch Grandpa has any chance, you are hilarious. And thanks to Space Groove Blonde Betty, who I now regret saying mean things about earlier, we secure another ace, and while we could easily have ended, I'm chasing content out here because viewers don't care if I win this game. They want to see me combo of Wombo with a little behind the wall arsenal of arson. Goddamn, I'm moist in the Santa skirt after that team fight type of potential that this build brings. They want to see that even a moron like me can walk into horrible decisions that no mere mortal playing ADC and wanting to win would ever walk into. Pause to reenact the stories of Jesus Christ in the Bible and then finish off the bad guys. And with one of the best teamfight ults in the game plus the most obnoxious item passive ever added, you will be playing her from all angles, joining fights where you can practically ult back to back. But the problem with being bad and abusing how many times you should have ended the game is that eventually, it comes back to bite you. And at a certain point 200 years in the form of Betty will too reach her 6th item, which long story short means all you will have to show for this game is 35 kills. A virgin in all chat wishing you poop yourself and having to tell some tilted viewers to chill because it was a norm and you didn't cost any inting idiot teammates LP by not ending when you could have. So let's get into game 2 to see if an arcane character can have better luck, and this one starts off pretty well considering I rotated quicker than a helicopter propeller, which meant this top heavy booger was going to be reverse mitosising with no friends around. Side note, the reworked Caitlyn sounds like she's pushing out a fat turd half the time she auto attacks. Anyways, I tell my Lux to light herself up or something to distract them so that they get caught staring at the sun, and then I fire an unintercepted ace up that pirate's a-hole for the kill. This leaves just Leo, who is delusional enough to know that her busted champ could probably 1v1 me, but I land a clutch combo that leaves me so cucked that I, as a female Piltiverian, actually grew a pair of balls and which then turned blue. Then I am back in the shops while my teammates are playing How Many Morons Does It Take to Kill a Samira, and it turns out that number is greater than 3 if you count the fat walking botanical garden they were hanging with. Their top laner comes down, so get ready for another Rav rant. She plays the first trap nicely, I will give her that, but then she eats a tornado of cooldowns like she's a hippo who just ended their intermittent fasting window as we continue to fail to kite her, and I catch her in not 1, but 2 misplays only for her to still end this 1v2 against a fed bot lane with more health than she started while getting caught 3 times in CC #Fiora Gaming. Shout out to this Trist who just broke the Guinness World Record for dumbest shit I've seen all day, and let's just say that her team didn't fare too well in her absence. At least everyone except for full damage Fiora, who once again took a small city and a prayer to take down. That said, I was getting the icy hot out of the cupboard because my shoulders and back were going to be real sore from how heavy this team was shaping up to be, but at least the damage of my snipe was pretty hype, so I was still hopeful. We catch a group of intruders in our neck of the woods, and it's not every day that a full lethality Caitlyn gets a 3-man queue, which results in Fio Leo being put in a prisoner's dilemma. As anyone who knows game theory will probably laugh at that reference, but anyone who actually knows game theory will be saying, wait, that doesn't make sense at all, whoops, I failed economics, but at least I'm not a dead as shit Tristana, ha ha ha. Also not sure how much chlorine got into this walking swimming pool's head, but it wasn't enough because he wasn't acting very clear-minded. We catch that bouncing bozo trying to interfere with the nature Nuru massages our jungler was setting up for all our camps, so I ult to spark some cellular division before mispositioning to ensure that I get the kill credit. This may or may not have costed me my flash, but what's important to remember is that once Samira built up the courage to open up to us, I murdered her ass. Note my ult was already back up, so after I shoot a large anchor at Leo, I can fail to fire it up 2 more times, but for the rest of the game it felt like it was literally never on cooldown. Catch Peggy the pirate murdering a mob of midgets? Wait for her to be all defensively dramatic and then ace up the a-hole. Assemble a group big enough to actually have a chance at killing a Fiora? Ace up the a-hole. See no one willing to take a bullet for the ADC? Get cucked by a bullshit ability that shouldn't be in the game. Anyways, you probably think this game is going much better as it's the 2nd consecutive time Rav is legendary, so play the lottery, but in case you were questioning whether it was me or not playing in this video, when the time came for me to avoid CC that my life was literally relying on my avoiding, I netted backwards into danger. So in true Rav fashion, you just saw 2 games where I was hella legendary and 2 games that I lost because the word macro doesn't apply to my life unless it's followed by Roni, and I'm telling my wife I can't eat it because cheese gives me the shits, and that's why I had to take laxatives to get my ass probed on my birthday. Sub if you respect the fact that I'm out here throwing games in an attempt to bring you better content, and check out this weird beluga style of content that I am trying on a new secret channel. Rav out.
I'm in your crib with the blappy boy, talk to me slick and I'm popping your pappy. If happy talk back, then I'm taking your Grammy, and boy oh boy I'll make her happy. Let's go.